Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the MetaStellar YouTube channel. My name is Maria KOROLOV. I'm the editor here at MetaStellar. And are you looking for some free science fiction and fantasy books to get you through this weekend? We've got them. Today, we have a couple of sexy fae kings. We have a cool space adventure. We've got plenty of romance. Everything you want, we've got it. But get the books while they're still free. Today is February 16th, and there's no telling how long the books will stay free. So if you're watching this at a later date, they might be free or they might not, or they might be in Kindle Unlimited, which means if you pay 12 bucks a month, you read all the books you want. Or if you really like the book, you can buy a copy or borrow it somewhere. And if you don't want to miss any of these videos and see them right when they come out, subscribe to our channel and subscribe to our newsletter. If you want to get this list in print every Friday. Because every single Friday, the team here at MetaStellar reads the first few chapters of the books on the top of Amazon's free sci-fi and fantasy list. This week, I was... yes, I'm not an AI. This week, I was helped out by assistant fiction editor Terrence Smith and community member Emma... I was going to say Emma Stone, but she's Emma Foster. And editor Krista Noland and video editor Alex KOROLOV, and Terrence and Emma are here today. Hi, Terrence. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
Hello.
Terrence, for regular viewers of the channel, he's a video game reviewers for Game Rant. He's our assistant fiction editor, and our next fiction submission cycle begins March 1st, so mark your calendar. Emma Foster is a writer and graduate student at the University of Cambridge, and her work has been featured in a variety of literary journals and small presses, and this is her second time here on Free Friday. Thanks, Emma, for joining us. The link to the full article and to all the books is in the description box below. For those who are new, MetaStellar is an online magazine of speculative fiction. All the content is always free for our readers. We publish original fiction, reprints, excerpts, essays, and lots of book reviews. We are able to do this and keep all content completely free thanks to our Patreon supporters. And we have anthologies out. We have Anthology Year One, Anthology Year Two, and we have merch you can buy to support the magazine because all your contributions go to paying for original fiction. All of us here are volunteers. Okay, and let's get to the books. All right, book number 5 on today's list, because we're going to count down. It's Trial by Fae by Linsey Hall. The first of 5 books in the Dragon's Gift: The Dark Fae fantasy romance series. The other books are $5 each and are in Kindle Unlimited. And this is the author's first time on our list. Krista Noland read this for us, and she says that the book starts in a really exciting way. Mary kills a demon. Mary and her sisters are demon slayers, and they have dragon blood coursing through their veins. They escaped from home long ago and have hidden themselves by using glamour to change their appearance. Then a strange yet exquisite man shows up on their doorstep and asks for a difficult blood magic spell. Mary's intrigued and attracted to him, but she's also leery because of the immense power he exudes and his willingness to pay double what she asks for. She knows he's trouble, but she needs the money. And wants a bit more trouble for magical women who are already hiding from the powers that be. So Kristen says that the book hooked her from sentence 1. It's fast-paced, it's well-written, she's fascinated by the world the author created, and she wants to find out where the story goes. She says she'll continue reading this novel, and she's sure fans of magical mystery romance will enjoy it. Next, we have Outcasts of Earth by James David Victor, the first of 9 books in the Outcasts of Earth, a military sci-fi series. The other books are $1 each and are in Kindle Unlimited. And this book has been on a Free Friday list before, and the author has also had another book on our list before as well. Alex KOROLOV read this for us, and he says that this is a sci-fi story about a bunch of convicts who become space marines. In the prologue, Solomon is hiding out in Hong Kong when his hotel room is knocked down by police robots. Well, let me make that a little bit bigger so you can see the cover. So he's hiding in the Hong Kong hotel room, It's the door is knocked down by police robots, or maybe they're cops in exosuits. Alex said he's not really sure, but they do have robot dogs. He's being arrested for murder and getting sent to a penal colony on Titan as punishment. And in the first couple of chapters, Solomon and some of the other inmates go up a space elevator to a spaceship and meet their warden, who's a big jerk, and electrocutes one of the prisoners to exert his authority. Turns out, though, that the Department of Justice and Defense has other plans for Solomon, who's put into hibernation on a spaceship, wakes up on Jupiter's moon Ganymede, and finds out that he's part of a work rehabilitation program called the Marine Expeditionary Force, also known as the Outcasts. And instead of his original life sentence on Titan, he'll be free in 12 years if he survives that long. So Alex says this isn't really a unique premise, but he says it's a fun read for someone looking for a space adventure story. And he's not sure if he's going to stick with it, but maybe he'll pick it up if there's nothing else going on. And for me, I do love military sci-fi and this kind of stuff, so I might check that out as well. Next, we have Fires of Alexandria by Thomas Carpenter, the first of 7 books in the Alexandrian saga, a historical fantasy series. The other books are $6 to $7 each and are not in Kindle Unlimited. This is the author's first time on our Free Friday list. And Terrence, you read this for us. What did you think of the book?
Well, there were several things that I enjoyed about it. First off, I like the fact that it's set in the classical era, takes place in the city of Alexandria in Egypt at the time of the Roman Empire. I the thing the story of this, it connects to great fires that happened and the library of Alexandria, and the story is going to explore what happened and who caused the fire and why. The story itself, follows 2 protagonists. We have Heron, who is a machinist that disguises herself as her brother because she has to pay off the debt her brother had incurred in, in his lifetime. And she does that by building machines for the temples in the city that will produce the so-called miracles of the gods. She lives with her niece Zepharia, who is sick of being stuck inside all the time and being in hiding, but if man knows that there is a younger woman in the household, they'll want to buy her for marriage. The second protagonist, he's a barbarian from the Northern Territories. His name is Agog or Agog. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. His goal is he hopes to take over the city of Alexandria and is looking for a machinist to help him build the mechanisms to make that happen. He is a bit of a tough guy, willing to break someone's wrist if they pickpocket him, but he's also has a little bit of humanity within him. For instance, his mind keeps turning back to memories of his wife, who I assume died in some kind of tragedy, and this probably influences his motives throughout the story. This the book has some of the themes that you would expect from a story with female protagonists. It talks about the patriarchy and restraints on women and highly male run civilization. And I also thought writing does a good job of bringing you into that environment of the streets of Alexandria in antiquity, especially when it comes to the smells of the street foods and the bakers baking their bread, which was likely to get people a little hungry after reading. So I would say this story is probably worth continuing to read. I was initially just going to read the first two chapters, and I wound up reading a bit further than I intended. So it definitely has some merit to it.
All right, thanks. Next we have number 2, Frost by C.N. Crawford, the first of 2 books in the Frost and Nectar paranormal romance series. Book 2 is $5 and is in Kindle Unlimited. This is the author's first time on our list, and I read this one. I am not a romance reader, so take my review with a grain of salt. And this book starts out with the romance in the first sentence. The whole prologue is about the romantic stuff. The first chapter is about the romantic stuff. And there's romantic stuff all the way through as far as I read. There's no actual plot beyond the romantic stuff. So keep that in mind. So Ava is our protagonist, and she's a fae who prefers humans because fae are violent, capricious, and arrogant. She's in love with Andrew, a human who writes her poems and make her tea, and he's really kind. They're planning a future together. She was paying his mortgage while he finishes his MBA, and then they'd work on her dream. He would help fund her cocktail bar. This was all a lie. And in the first chapter, she finds him in bed with a wannabe actress, and he has all these excuses, and she dumps takeout food on him, and she goes down to a bar where she hangs out with her friend, and she's complaining about men. And so there's not much about this part that's magical yet. The only thing that distinguishes her from a human is that she's got pointy ears. And in this universe, the Fae have exposed themselves to humanity a few decades back, and now they run the whole world kind of remotely. And there's a Fae king who's single, gorgeous, and there's the richest guy on the planet. And they're both 26, both Torin the king and Ava, our protagonist. So she's sitting in the bar complaining about this. She and her friend are watching TV, and there's like a Bachelor kind of show on. And apparently they find out that this Fae king is going to have his own version of the Bachelor, where he's going to pick his next queen. And there's going to be 100 candidates, and he's personally going to notify all of them. And for some reason, he shows up at their bar, and the news cameras are following his cavalcade around the city, and then he pulls up next to the bar. Everybody rushes to the window to look at it, and he gets out of the Lamborghini, and he's all rich and famous and stuff, and he walks in there, and she just starts mouthing off to him. She's in a bad mood, she's drunk, she tells him what a jerk he is, how this whole tournament to find the queen is just basically a reality TV show, and it's all stupid, and she wants nothing to do with it. And he's like, well, I wasn't going to ask you to be in it anyway. And he turns around and walks out, making me wonder, well, why did he go to this bar in the first place then? You know, what was he there for? But anyway, in the next chapter, we switch to his point of view, and we find out that there's like a big twist. So the guy is cursed. If he falls in love with somebody, she dies. And his first love has already died from the curse. But he has to get married in order to save the Fey Kingdom and gain his magic. So his plan is to find somebody he cannot fall in love with. And so he's got these 100 candidates, 6 elf Fey princesses, who he's going to pick one of them, and like 94 commoners who he knows he's not going to pick. And he wants to find somebody who's really repulsive, and he's definitely not going to fall in love with them. And then he thinks of the woman in the bar, and he's like, oh, yeah, her. I'll marry her. There's no way I'll fall in love with her. So this is kind of like a rom-com premise. It is kind of a funny comedy kind of setup. And if this was a movie, I would probably watch it. I can kind of see Sydney Sweeney playing Ava, and maybe Glenn Powell playing Torin the jerk. And I am a sucker for rom-coms. And now that I've kind of planned this out, so here's the book in close-up. Now that I've planned it out, I might actually stick with it, because now I'm kind of like involved with the characters. So there you go. Before we go on to book number 1 on today's list, I want to thank our Patreon sponsors. We would not be here without you guys. And that's Greg, Lorena, Janet, Lucas, Sophie, Marie, Alexander, Avery, Terrence, Brad, David, Anastasia, and Amira. We love you. All the donations go to support original fiction and pay authors. None of it goes to us. So thank you guys. We would not be here without you. And now on to book number 1 on today's list. Crown of Blood and Glass by Lucinda Dark and Rebecca Gray. The first of 3 books in the Awakened Fates romantic fantasy series. The other books are $5 each, and they are in Kindle Unlimited. And this is the author's first time on our Free Friday list. And Emma Foster read this for us. Emma, what did you think of this book?
Well, to start off, when you started the premise for Frost, I thought, did we accidentally read the same book? Because like Frost, Crown of Blood and Glass also begins like right out of the gate with the romance. There's a whole prologue dedicated to the main protagonist, Devonry, I think that's how you pronounce her name, attempting to seduce Solomon, who we eventually learn is a descendant of barbarian warriors and who is also her escort, because she is a princess, and the whole premise is that she is eventually going to become queen of her city, the city of Rosentine. She's betrothed to her childhood friend, Prince Nazir, but there's a bunch of stuff that's going to end up happening that I thought was really interesting because it was full of political intrigue. But more of the premise involves, because that was a whole prologue. There's this whole romantic scene in the prologue, but then we go straight to chapter 1. And that one's sort of like further back in time, saying like, okay, here's the perspective, here's how we got to this romantic scene, you know? And it starts off with Devonry. She is sneaking out of the castle because she is tired of living behind these walls. She wants to explore the world around her. And just so happens that outside the castle in Sanctus City, there is the Sunfire Festival going on. So she gets there, she dances, she has a grand old time, but then lo and behold, Solomon shows up, and as her escort, he reminds her that he has to protect her, that she could be in danger from leaving the castle, and she just doesn't want anything to do with it. She doesn't like him, She thinks he's no fun. She's frustrated by him, but in a way where it's like, yeah, you're kind of probably just attracted to him, that type of thing. So he takes her back. She's not happy about it. And the story eventually continues with her meeting Nazar, she is betrothed to, but eventually it turns out that he is going to betray her for the throne, and it's going to end in her father's death, her being evicted from that throne that she was supposed to have. So now the only person that she can turn to is her escort, Solomon, the guy who's supposed to protect her. So with this, like, definitely take it with a grain of salt, like Maria was saying with her review, because I don't like the romance so much as like the fantasy. The having it right out of the gate was definitely something I did not expect. But what I did really enjoy when I got into chapter 1 and we put everything into perspective was all of the world building. Because with the Sunfire Festival and things like that, everything was light, it was airy, it was full of hope. There was tons of descriptions that was just really enjoyable to read. So it was a fun read, and it was something that like kept me interested. It wasn't something where I was like, oh, there's this romance and then there's nothing else beyond that. We get a look at Devon Ray's headspace. We see a lot of her inner turmoil, and it's definitely suspenseful in regarding the next couple of chapters that leads up to the betrayal. So if you really enjoy romance fantasy and you like the emphasis on the romance, I would definitely recommend this for you. And I think it's like definitely something that you can binge read.
Well, it's such a big genre right now. Romantasy
Exactly.
really, really exploding. So that wraps up our breakdown with the top 5 free sci-fi and fantasy books today. Let us know in the comments which of these books you plan to read. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel for more bookish content. And also, Terrence and I on Sunday morning are going to go and check out the demo of the new Apple Vision Pro headset. And we might tell you how it went next week. So see you guys later. And thanks, Emma. Thanks, Terrence, for joining us. And have a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Live long and prosper.